Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I wanted to start off with a confession. I know this is a lot to put on you in the beginning of the video, but Call of Duty isn't the only video game that I play. You might actually say I play around when it comes to video games. And one of my main secret games, perhaps not secret if you've been following me on Twitch, is that I play Teamfight Tactics, which is what you're seeing gameplay of right now. For those of you that are already familiar, the gameplay you're going to see is Tristana reroll into Tristana 4, into Gunners 4, into Yordle Hypercarry. It was a really fun game. I thought a good one to show off on this channel. And what I want to talk about today is Set 9. I have played this game for a long time, and I really do not like Set 9. Maybe it's one of those things, the more you love something, the more the flaws are evident, but I've got lots of complaints. I've been playing Teamfight Tactics since Set 1. I've been playing League of Legends since there were like 40 characters. I did Ranked in Teamfight Tactics since 7 or 8. Sets 1 through 6 I only played casually. It was just kind of a fun thing I could do with my wife. Double ups are fantastic, by the way. But since the medical problems have caught up to me, I can't play really fast-paced, twitchy first-person shooters like Call of Duty, whereas Teamfight Tactics only requires a couple of clicks per round. Minimal clicking, minimal activity, and I'm really just playing with my brain and my positioning, which I've enjoyed. For those of you that are unfamiliar with this game, it's very similar to Dota Auto Chess. It's essentially an auto battler game, and you use characters and abilities and items from League of Legends. You place your units on a hex, and each unit has its own simple AI attack pattern to follow. It's always simple so that it's predictable. You gain gold for winning, you gain gold for going on win streaks, and you can also gain a little bit of interest gold. You spend the gold to level up, to power up your units. You can match unit traits to get new synergies and increase strength, add items, and of course now you can pick board-wide augment upgrades that change your whole team. So there's a lot of things that they've done to remove the RNG nature of the game, because even though you see me clicking, it's essentially not that different than a card game where you have to collect a certain number of cards to win. And as much as I love this game, as much as I play Teamfight Tactics pretty much every single day, today I am here to air my grievances on Set 9. Set 9 has been the least fun set that I have played, and I've played every single one of them, and it's a little bit hard to pin down, but let's start off with number 1 for me. We removed the champion augments from the last set, which was the number 1 way you could get your team screwed over by RNG. And they're back for this set, and you don't have to pick them. They're not quite as strong, but they're still often very frustrating that you can pick champion-specific augments that turn like Warwick or Kassadin into hyper carries that nobody can really do anything about. I do find that the augments in general are still a little bit too RNG. They're much improved with re-rolling each one, like opening the 3 doors and seeing what's behind them puzzle. I love that element of logic, but they just seem really strong and really crazy, and you can win or lose a game on the spot by getting good or bad augments offered to you. They did try to ungamify this particular season by letting you choose a patron legend, Master Yi, Lee Sin, Twisted Fate, Poro, these kind of guys, and what that would do is guarantee that one of your, we'll say 6 potential slots for any augment is not random, that will come from a set pool that you can play, that there's a certain thing, some degree of familiarity. And that was a good idea. It reduces randomness, it allows you to specialize, but the reality is that now everybody just plays the same 1, 2, maybe 3 different champion patron augments, which whatever one is popular, whatever one conveys even the tiniest little iota of advantage, that's what everybody's going to be playing. And since they're playing that, and since you can also vote on the stages that you play in, which have different team-wide effects, everybody votes for the thing that benefits them. So if you're playing off meta, you're pretty much going against the grain and you're not going to be getting anything that you want. I also think that Teamfight Tactics is getting hard to play, especially for new players, because every season it just gets crazier and crazier and crazier, and that's true of almost every game. Late season Call of Duty is way crazier than early season. 3 years later Battlefield is way crazier than at launch, and we're used to that. But in a strategy game, this leads to an overwhelming amount of new choices and a really steep learning curve for new players. It's really hard for me to get friends to play the game because the learning curve is so absurd now. It also leads to a lot of somewhat counterintuitive micro-optimizations to slightly change your odds in the pool to do different things. An easy example is Tome of Traits and tailoring your board to get the trait that you want from the Tome of Traits. This is something that you just have to know from researching. It's not in the tooltips, so most people don't know that, and they'll just pop their Tome of Traits and be like, man, why does it always give me garbage? It's because they didn't even know that they should be tailoring their board. There's also issues with unclear pool RNG. That's really not explained very well in the tutorial. Most players don't know that there are a limited number of each champion. That's a standard feature. And, you know, all of these kinds of things. You want to tailor your board to get the best free Ionia unit or things like this. And this is fine if you're playing high elo, if you're playing challengers, if you're a guy like me that loves nerdy stats and micro optimizations, like sure. But for new players, it's overwhelming, it's intimidating, it's off-putting actually. And I feel like that part of the game could be done better. For this particular set, I also have an issue with certain scaling items. Certain items, a few Orin items, a few Shimmer scale totally dominate. They're supposed to because they're special. But even the basic items result in insane late game scaling. The two I'm thinking of offhand are Gwinsu's Rage Blade and Archangel's, depending on who you put it on, can be very powerful. Gwinsu's this set is absurdly powerful because it just guarantees whoever you put it on is probably going to be slinging at about max attack speed by the end of the game when they have time to wind up. And all of this results, these scaling items that scale to infinity and just make your units infinitely stronger. Instead of hitting a certain level of strength, what we are doing now is people are competing in rates of strength growth with their scaling items. And it results in being required to build insane teams to even be remotely competitive in teamfight tactics. A normal comp, like the game that you're seeing here, this is a normal first place, is something that you would get one in out of maybe 100, maybe 1,000 games in older sets. What you can do now with all of these options requires that you do something that would have been unfathomably difficult about 2 years ago. And again, that can be a little bit off-putting, and it feels like the game is getting a little bit too crazy. It feels like I'm playing Fortune's Favor over and over and over again. All of that for me has made this season feel not as fun. Maybe it's because I'm playing more seriously this season. Maybe I'm mad because I'm bad. I'm pretty low elo and I'm struggling to climb. But this season feels especially brutal. It feels especially hard to climb, and most of the more casual players I've talked to agree that it is much more difficult this season. And again, maybe I'm mad because bad, but I don't like the way it feels. I feel like RNG cheats me too much, and it's just a little bit too crazy for me to fully wrap my brain around. I am going to change gears just a little bit here, and we're going to get off of the gameplay gripes I have, and I want to talk about its monetization system. The best thing about the monetization system is that nothing you can buy will give you an in-game advantage. That element of a strategy competitive game is very important to Riot, and God bless them for not letting people buy advantages. But they don't let you buy skins directly. In League of Legends, you can just buy a skin a lot of times. It might be $20, $50, $100 if you're spending on something insane. But for Teamfight Tactics, since you have a lot of mobile players, it's all loot boxes. Very little in the way of direct purchases, lots of loot boxes with really bad odds. So instead of, like, I play with my wife every day, I wanted to get her the Star Guardian Lux skin so that she could have something cool, something that she identifies with. She's a big Sailor Moon fan. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. What's it like, 10, 15, 20, $25 skin? I'll do that. I'll make my wife happy. Nope, that skin is loot box only at like 0.5% or 1% odds. So that's either 100 or 200 loot boxes, which is $100 or $200 to maybe have a greater than 50-50 chance of getting that skin. And I think that's terrible. And as much as I want to do something nice for her, I don't have $200 to throw on an in-game skin for a game that we play once a day, maybe once every other day. And they also have cool execution animations if you haven't seen those. So I find that to be very off-putting. And honestly, I probably would have spent more money on TFT if I could just buy things directly instead of buying loot boxes. I think about loot boxes, like I spent like 10 bucks on them once as a gift, but then probably never again because I don't think we got anything too great out of that. So I wish that Riot Games would loosen up. I know it's a mobile game, but I wish they could have more like PC-style direct purchases. So after all of that griping, I did want to say I still do like Teamfight Tactics quite a lot. It's still currently my favorite game, limitations aside. It's one that I can fully play. It's definitely my most played strategy game ever. I'm usually terrible at strategy games, embarrassingly. I get smoked all the time. But this is one, and I usually get discouraged and give up, but this is one that's been fun even when I'm losing. It's been fun for years and years, and I've never played a strategy game as much as this one. It also helps me keep up to date with League of Legends lore. I used to play League main. I can't. It's a little bit too much for me now. There's like 150 characters. I can't keep track of it all. They're adding new ones all the time, but I do want to keep up because I always found the lore interesting. I found League of Legends Arcane to be very interesting, and playing TFT kind of helps me do that. Side note, I do stream this game almost every single day on Twitch from the bed rig, which you've probably seen in previous videos. So if you want to see me play TFT, I usually only do 1 or 2 games a day. You can follow me on Twitch, and you can see a little bit of the bed rig. So while I have my complaints, while I have my gripes, while I'm not particularly happy with this season, I am overall happy with the game. I hope that in the 1 in 1,000 chance anybody from Riot Games actually sees this video, maybe they can take my perspective into consideration. Unfortunately, Riot and a lot of competitive games focus solely on the esports team. The only thing that matters is what the esports team cares about, what the high challenger players want, what the really sweaty guys want, and everybody else kind of gets the shaft. I'm coming in definitely on the low end, on the casual end, just kind of trying to express a few frustrations as a casual player. Guys, that's all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.